guys, welcome back to Homestead 215. It has been a while since we have done a garden tour. I don't think I even took any video in July. I wanted to get you back in the garden and show you a little update of where we are. Some things are dying off for the summer, but I've also got some fall crops that are starting and some things I'm making space for the fall garden. So I just wanted to bring you along and update you with where my garden is and encourage you that it's not too late to start a fall garden. You can still get some things going and you've got time. So let me turn you around and show you where my garden currently is today. Alright, so this is right at the entrance of my garden, and you can see my arches here in the front are covered and are doing really well. Some of the things as you get closer you can see they're dying off. I think this is one of my cucumber plants that has bit the dust here. As you can see, all these brown dead leaves. My cucumbers they're just done. The cucumber beetles and the squash bugs just really got to a lot of my plants. But this is my loofah plant, which is doing really well still. You've got these three just popped up 2 days ago, I think, is when I first saw them. Or especially this big one. It's been probably three or 4 days, but these two little ones just popped up in the last 2 days. And I've got, let's see, over here, down here at the bottom of the plant, I mean, I probably have, I don't know how many at this point, at least 25, I would say, loofahs, and they get to be pretty good size. This is my biggest one. It was my very first one. And you can tell it's not quite so green anymore. It's starting to brown up. And it's getting close to harvesting, where I can harvest it and then I will take it and hang dry, cut it open, pull out what will basically become loofah sponge that I can dry, hang it dry outside in the sun. And after a few days of it drying out, I can cut it up and put it into soaps, or I can just my kids will use it for their baths and things like that. We can use it for dishes, whatever we need to do there. And then you can see this loofah plant just really, like, I can't even walk through my arches anymore without completely ducking or walking right into it. So that is fun. Right above this arch here, I have some pretty sunflowers, and it's so tall I haven't been able to get up there to cut down some of the dead ones. But I will be hopefully getting a way to find my way up there soon so that I can cut a couple of the dead ones down and throw them to the chickens, and I'll save some of the seeds myself, and the chickens will enjoy those as a treat. These are some pepper plants. I've got, if you can get down in there, I've got some cayenne peppers growing, if you can see those there, little baby ones and some ones that are decent size already. And then I've got a nice bright red one that is ready to harvest. And you can harvest these when they're green. They sometimes will still ripen up for you inside. Here's another loofah. Oh, another baby loofah that I hadn't seen yet. So there's another new one. I'm telling you, these things are so prolific. They have been growing so many. Here's another baby one I hadn't seen yet. Right here. So there's another one. They're just everywhere. I've seen so many bees around these flowers. The flowers are closed right now. It's that time of day where they're not open, but they are swarming with bees throughout the day, and the bees have definitely gotten the job done. Oh, looks like I got a little funky one over here. I don't know if that got pollinated all the way. Oh, yeah, there's two here. This one definitely didn't get pollinated. But here's another one. Goodness, there's so many. They're everywhere. And then on this side we have, in my container gardens, I've got tomatoes, some that are ready to harvest. And then there's some that are still green back in here. You can see some green ones I've got back in there. On this side of the bed, down here, I have some mini bell peppers, which have been really fun for the kids to just grab and snack on, and they take them in their school lunches, and they're just a nice, perfect little size for my kids. They get a little bit bigger than this, but this is a pretty good size. My girls love peppers, so they snack on them, and they do still have seeds. There are some seedless peppers. These are not them, but my kids can eat around that pretty easily, and they don't really care, and the seeds don't hurt you, so if you eat some, it's not a big deal. And then over here, we have some regular bell pepper plants. Let me see if I can find any. I have not seen very many blooms on these, so I don't even know if I'm going to get any bell peppers before the frost, but we'll see. I'm still giving them some time. Oh, there's one tiny little bloom back here. I don't know if you guys can see this. Right below my finger there is one bloom. I don't know if you can see it or not. And then this one has a bloom right here at the top, so we can hopefully still get some peppers off of these. And I've got a marigold plant here that has kind of gone crazy and taken over the peppers apparently, and is falling over. I'll untangle that later, but oh, see, look at these baby loofahs. Look at that. Oh my word, there are so many loofahs. I'm so excited to harvest these and get these ready. This bed right here I have emptied out. This used to be cabbages and broccolis, and I have now planted right here I've planted, what did I plant here? Oh, I have a label that helps. Okay, so we've got turnips. That's what I planted. I planted turnips, and I also planted some radishes, and I can already see some of my little baby radishes popping up, so that's awesome. And turnips, look at that. So we got turnips and radishes popping up already. So happy birthday, little guys. These are turnips. I planted these way too close together, so as they grow I will thin these out. And then I have one dazzling blue kale left. Some of the leaves are obviously eaten by the cabbage worms, but I might go ahead and leave that because it does get sweeter as the weather gets colder. So I might leave it and see how well that one does once it's colder and the cabbage moths are gone, and hopefully some new growth will still happen and I can enjoy some sweet kale. I have more kale that's growing in some jugs that I will be planting out here once they get big enough, but for now that will be good. And then back here, these little sprouts are all beans. Well, there's actually one zinnia plant right there. I planted some zinnias kind of succession sowing a few weeks ago, and they are, this tall plant right here is a zinnia as well. And so those were growing, but I wanted to just fill them up around them with beans. So the rest of those are all going to be purple and yellow beans when they get growing. So those will be nice until until the frost. They depending on how cold it gets, that first frost, they might be able to survive one frost, but we'll see. I also have some covers I can put on them, so that'll help them last a little bit longer as well. And then over here we have our kid garden, which is completely taken over with weeds. So we've got to clean these up, and they do have some basil that's growing here and looks like it's getting pretty tall. And that smells so good. But yeah, there's carrots down in there somewhere, little baby carrots that can be real short and easy to grow in a pool like that. But down in here I do have a pumpkin growing. My pumpkin plant has reached all the way over to here. It actually started way over this way. Let's keep going over here. And now we're finally at the bed that I planted it in. You can see it has powdery mildew. I need to come out here and spray it with a solution to help get rid of that. But I've got at least one pumpkin growing on this plant, and then I've got one pumpkin growing right here on this other plant. There's two pumpkin plants out here. And these are normal size, like not huge jack-o'-lantern pumpkins, but they're good enough that we can carve them with our kids. So I'm hoping to at least get a couple more so we have enough to carve for Halloween time. But I also am growing baby or sugar pie pumpkins just for baking purposes. So these 4 orange containers are carrots. Then I've got a few tomatoes right behind them. And then in the back there is actually potatoes that I need to harvest. This on the trellis right here is pretty much a goner. I had one, these are supposed to be Crenshaw melons on this trellis, and I had a few that started to grow, but they just weren't pollinated enough. You can see there's one right here that just completely was rotted. It didn't harvest, or I mean it didn't get pollinated enough to harvest. But I have one right here, and the plant is slowly dying, but I'm really hoping that that is pollinated enough to grow and get at least one Crenshaw melon. This is my first year growing these, so I have no idea how they taste, what they're like. So I really am hoping for at least one to know if they're worth it for next year. My problem with them this year was the bugs. The bugs got them. So I know that was my issue, and I can combat that better next year if I want to, but I want to know if it's even worth it. Over here, we have a random volunteer. I think this might be a cucumber plant. It looks like little cucumber flowers. So I've just left it alone because I figured, hey, if I can get another batch of cucumbers out of this, that'd be awesome. But I'm not sure. I didn't plant it, so I don't know if it's a cucumber or if it's... A lot of plants have similar flowers, so it's hard to tell for sure. Like the Crenshaw melons looked like this too at first, so we'll see. I may have dropped a seed and just didn't realize it. This plant right here in this little cage back behind here is a zucchini plant. And it was succession sown a little bit later than my other zucchini. I had one zucchini plant that's already bit the dust just because of the bugs. I had squash vine borers in it, and lots of squash bugs. So it was done producing at that point anyway, so I pulled it out. So I'm hoping for another round of zucchinis with that one. Here, I have a yellow squash plant. I've got one good size. I need to get that one harvested soon. Right there. And there's still a few baby ones on there. So I might get a few more out of that one. And then down in here, if you can see, let's pull that out of the way. I've got another good size one I need to harvest, and there's several more baby ones as well. So I could get a few more of those still as well. Chewbacca, you're kind of in my way, dude. I'm going that way. Can you say hi? You've got mosquitoes flying all around you, dude. Hey, can you move over? Watch out, I'm going this way. This is a jalapeno plant, and you can see I've got, hey Chewy, you're so cute. He's my little garden buddy. I've got at least one jalapeno on this plant. I've got some baby ones right here. I've got a volunteer tomato plant right here that has not started producing flowers yet, but I figured I'll leave it and see what happens. More loofahs. And then I've got, see, look at all these loofahs. It's so ridiculous. It's so cool, I love it. Oh my goodness. This is another jalapeno. No, this is not jalapeno. This is, oh, what are you? I think ancho maybe? And it's got a few buds starting. Yeah, here's another bud. It grew really tall instead of blooming flowers early. It started just growing taller. So I don't know if it just had too much nitrogen in that spot in the soil. They're really close together, so who knows. But it's hopefully going to produce a couple peppers for us before it's all said and done. Over here I have never grown ground cherries before, so I don't really know what I'm looking for, but I'm hoping these are ground cherries. I did not plant any cherry tomatoes that I know of. I was going to, but I think I decided not to, and then I don't know. So I'm hoping that these are ground cherries, because I'm pretty sure I planted a couple ground cherries right here because I had an open space, so I was like, I want to try ground cherries, and I just threw them down. So I'm hoping that's what this is, but I really don't remember. But look at all those little, definitely some kind of tomato forming, and I'm super excited to try it. So we shall see. I've got a couple more kale over here that again are kind of biting the dust. That's another volunteer tomato plant. There's so many volunteer tomatoes, it's ridiculous. I even gave away a bunch of volunteer tomatoes and squash plants to a friend. I still have so many that are popping up that I can't keep up with them. They keep popping up everywhere. And then I got another marigold plant over here. Oh, look at the fence over there. See that loofah plant? And then there's another 2 baby loofah plants that were not there yesterday. Let me get close enough for you guys to see that. Hang on. My wheelbarrow's in my way. Okay, ouch. I just kicked the wheelbarrow. Okay. Oh my word. Look at this. Guys, I'm sorry, I'm obsessed with these loofahs. This is my first year growing loofahs, and I've heard like they just take over, and it is very true. Like, I planted 2 loofah plants on this side of the trellis. They took over into my other side of the trellis where my tomatoes were, and there's loofahs growing in the middle of the tomatoes. And then they grew all the way along the ground over to this fence, and now they're up on the fence. And I have 1, look at that, 2, 3, 4. I mean, these aren't fully pollinated yet probably, but they're still there. 5, and then at least 3 more right there. I don't know if you can see those well. 6, 7, 8. Potentially 8 more just on this one little strand that came over from the ground over to the fence. That is insane. Like, I'm probably going to have 50 loofah plants by the time it's said and done. We've still got some stuff over here. This is basil right here. We've got a few more onions that aren't quite ready to harvest yet. My husband's yelling at me. Hey! Dinner's ready? Okay, I'll wrap it up. Okay, so our dinner's ready, so I'm gonna wrap this up. But I've got this marigold plant is just gorgeous. I love it so much. It has so many blooms, and I'm in love with it. And I cut them off a few every day, and they're like, we're gonna keep growing for you. Okay guys, I'm back. I had dinner with my family, and now I'm gonna finish up this tour before I head back in. We're having a movie night with the kids, so I want to get back in with them soon to watch that. But yeah, these marigolds are probably one of my favorite things in the garden, just with how explosive they are with their blooms. These are our green beans, and they're still producing some. You can see there's still quite a few I need to get harvested here. But for the most part, these are getting diseased and eaten up by bugs. So I'm going to be pulling those here soon and planting another round of beans. I've got that round over there. It's already started that I already showed you. But I'm going to replant here right on top of these, just some new beans as well for the fall. This bed right here, what used to be the salad bed where I had all my lettuces and everything, but it has, that has all bolted and gone to seed. So I pulled all that out the other day, and you can see down in the actual garden bed, there's not much down on the soil, but I do have some tomato plants that are still here going strong. Got a couple things waiting to ripen, and then I have a few that are ripe and ready to harvest right here. I'm going to be making some pasta sauce and salsa here soon with all my tomatoes, so I'm getting ready to harvest some of these tomorrow probably and do that. You can see down here I have a nice gourd that is starting, and this is same as my pumpkin plant from the other side of the garden. This one plant goes all the way down there, but it's not planted here, it came all the way from the back, way back there still. You can't even see it. I'll show you when I get back there where it started, but it's way far away from where it came. It just went everywhere, all the way down my pathways, which is fine. I just don't have a clear path to walk through here anymore, so I just have to walk around. Back in this bed back here, we have my lavender, which is doing beautifully. I love lavender so much. It smells so good when you touch it. Love it. So I've got lavender, and that will stay here. I'll cover that for winter. So this is my watermelon plant. Oh good, I do have a watermelon growing. I didn't see that one yet. Look at that little guy. Can you guys see that? Look at him. That's awesome. So I have two watermelon plants that are up on this A-frame, this green A-frame right here. And so far, none of my little starts have actually been pollinated enough, but that one looks like it's pretty good, so I'm hoping that one will keep growing and I'll get at least one watermelon out of my garden. My girls love watermelon, and I tried to grow it last year and didn't get anything, so I don't know if I'm just not amending the soil well enough for the watermelon or if I'm missing something it needs, but it's not done well for me so far. So hopefully we will get at least one watermelon this year. On this trellis right here we have a sugar pie pumpkin that has made its way. It was planted on the opposite side of the trellis over there, but it climbed up over the trellis and gotten all the way down to here, and this is where it has decided to grow. And what I've actually planted was the Chinese noodle beans and the yard-long beans. So I have, as if you can see up right here, these are yard-long beans that I've let go to seed. I just didn't harvest these because I had plenty, and I will save seeds from these. These are drying out, and they'll be ready probably in the next few days probably. But then I have the Chinese noodle beans behind that. Those are so long. I love these. They're so pretty to look at just hanging down in my trellis right here. I don't know if you can see all those, but they're just beautiful. I love them. So I've got these. I purposely did a red Chinese noodle bean and then a green yard-long bean, like alternating throughout the trellis, because I wanted them to hang down and have this beautiful green and red display. But unfortunately, my pumpkins took over the trellis before that could happen, so a lot of the noodle beans ended up not really going over the trellis, so I don't have much hanging down on this side at all. Got dead stuff because this is, again, pumpkin plants have been eaten by squash bugs and squash vine borers, but I do love the few that are hanging down through the middle of the trellis. They're mostly the red noodle beans that that came through. I don't really see any green yard-long beans right now, except for the ones that are drying. They've mostly stopped producing, I think, at this point. But the red ones are going strong. Look at this one. This is crazy long. You see that? It goes all the way up to there. That's awesome. Back here behind the watermelon plant is some more jalapenos. So I'm excited to harvest those. I think I mentioned we're doing salsa probably tomorrow. So I will be harvesting some jalapenos to get those ready for salsa with my tomatoes as well. Here's another gourd that's just in the pathway that decided to grow wherever it felt like. And again, that one is from the same, I think it's the same plant. It might be a different plant actually, but it has come from all the way over there and grown out into this pathway. It's covered in powdery mildew again. I still have so much work to do on some of these, but it has gone all the way down the pathway over there. It's ridiculous how big these gourds have gotten. The plants have just taken over the garden, which I think is fun. I like to leave them and let them do what they want because they're not gonna stay small, so it's kind of pointless for me to try to get them to stay small. Okay, so right here we have some sunflowers that have, I love, like, nature is so cool, guys. So this sunflower plant, I don't know if I can get back here with all these gourds in the way, but okay. So this sunflower right here, I don't know if you can see this, but it has snapped, like it's broken and bent over. But down here, it has kept producing. These sunflowers are hanging upside down at the ground basically, but it's basically healing itself. Like, this has not killed the plant. It is still attached and still producing. Like, look at this little guy. That's gonna open probably in the next couple days, and it's still producing. It's beautiful, has all these beautiful blooms, and they're hanging down upside down, but they're still beautiful, and the bees are still going crazy over them, and how nature just takes care of itself like that. How God designed it to do that. All right, so over here behind the compost bins, I've got some zinnias that are finally blooming. It took them forever. I've got some cosmos that grew pretty quickly. I planted these late in the season, and they grew up pretty fast, so I'm happy to see them. Got some other sunflowers and a zinnia back there. This little plant is on the fence up here. It's some type of squash. I can't remember what it was, but it's not producing anything so far, so I don't expect much from it. I think this is some type of marigold, but I don't know. I don't see blooms happening, so maybe it's just a weed that I babied and thought I was watering a marigold. There's so many weeds back here, guys. The weeds have taken over this year, and I've not been able to keep up with them. But let's go this way. Oh, there's some more sugar pie pumpkins. Got two little ones over there hanging off the fence. These were actually, I planted these on this trellis, and the goal was for them to grow up and over, and for the pumpkins to hang down through the trellis. That was my goal, my desire. But unfortunately, they decided to go up the trellis this way onto my pea trellis, which is where I had peas earlier in the season. And it went all the way down to the end of my pea trellis until they got too heavy, and then they eventually fell off. And so then the pumpkins, I'm surprised they didn't come off the vine, but they fell one day. And they have still ripened and gone really well. So I'm going to make some pumpkin pie here soon, probably, for my kids and I. My husband doesn't like pumpkin pie, but for the kids and I, we'll enjoy it. Oh, my pole beans. I posted this on my Facebook page the other day, but I have been waiting all season long for these pole beans. This is where I had like a little, you can't see it because my sunflowers have taken over, but back in here is a, basically kind of like a tent, like a teepee type frame that I made with bamboo sticks for the beans to grow up, the pole beans. And they grew and they had beautiful blooms, but the blooms just kept dropping and it was just too hot. They wouldn't produce anything. While my other beans were doing great, these beans just wouldn't, my bush beans were awesome. These beans just would not produce, so I kind of gave up on them. But then the other day I came out and I was just taking pictures of things in the garden, and I found this little vine right here with all these baby beans on it. See those baby beans? Look how beautiful they are. And there's some more up here I can see today. So I'm wondering how many more are down in there that I just can't see right now. I'm super excited to see at least a little bit that I'll be able to harvest from these, because I've never grown pole beans before. I've always just done bush beans. So I'm excited to try them this year. Back on the fence back there, you can see I've got a cantaloupe growing. That's the only cantaloupe on, oh no, there's another one back there. Guys, I just love the garden. Way down in there, I don't know if you can see that from here. I can't get back there very far. Then I've got these teddy bear sunflowers with bumblebees on them, so I'm going to try not to disturb them. But let's see if we can get a good shot of him. See that little bumblebee on the teddy bear? That's not even fully opened yet, and the bumblebees are already going to town on them. Alright, so then that's another teddy bear sunflower. They're so pretty. And then I've got back here some more squash plants that just didn't do well, didn't produce much of anything. Oh, and right above us, I forgot about this guy. Look at that, it's beautiful. And I got a bumblebee on there. Oh my goodness, he's covered in pollen. I cannot, you guys probably can't see that very well. Let me go on this side. When you become a gardener, you become obsessed with bees. You're not as scared of them, like you still respect them and give them their space because you know they can sting you, obviously. But I just love watching them work. They're amazing. And my garden wouldn't be the same without them. Alright, so we got a few more zinnias back here, small ones. I gotta start cutting those to hopefully help them produce more. Some cosmos back in the back. Now this is another cantaloupe I did know about. I put some cardboard underneath of it so it wouldn't rot. So I may have to do that for the other one as well. But that's the only one I see on that plant. Don't see any hiding ones. And then this, another gourd that is planted. So here's the base of it. You can see that stem. And it goes all the way over this way, over to here, and up this fence. Again, it wasn't supposed to go on the fence, but it decided to. and it has grown a gourd right there outside of the fence, and another one is growing down here outside the fence. So I'm hoping my chickens or another animal don't get it outside the fence before I'm able to harvest it. So on this side, let's go around this trellis here. This is the bed where I have those big pumpkins planted, and they, instead of staying in their beds, they just went out into the pathways over that way and over this way. So they're not really where I wanted them, but they're there. We've got some calendulas here, still growing and blooming. We've got a sunflower here. And then the rest of it, the bed is my beans that are pretty much dying off, again, with bugs and with disease. So I'll probably get one more small harvest from those and then pull them. Oh, here's a better view of my beans from the other side, my new beans for fall. And the zinnias that I've planted. Those are growing up. Oh, and there's chives there in the corner that will stay and overwinter. We'll cover those for the winter time. Well, that is pretty much all I've got. There's my huge mammoth sunflower head that I'm going to harvest soon and get the seeds from, and I'm excited to get those. But that is pretty much all I have for you today. Oh, here's a pumpkin. Share that with you. Pumpkin growing. Well, I hope you enjoyed seeing the garden update. It's been a while, like I said, since we've done one, and it's just nice to see all the growth, and even when some of the things are diseased and dying, it's just fun to see. I enjoy seeing people's gardens even when they're at that stage where they are needing to be torn out or treated. I don't treat anything with chemicals. I do natural remedies when I can, and I just pick bugs off when I can. So I'm not certified organic by any means, but I just do my best to use natural methods, or just leave them alone and let them do their thing. And unfortunately that means sometimes things die faster than I want them to. But I just choose not to use any chemical pesticides on my garden. And that means that there's going to be bugs, and it's just a fight you have to fight. But it's something that I am willing to do so that I can have natural produce for my family. Thanks for hanging out with me today, and I will hopefully have another update soon. I'm going to do some harvesting, so I might make another video of just doing some harvesting soon so you guys can see some of that. Thanks for watching. See you next time.